Getting a tattoo, it's such an amazing experience. But the beautiful art you walk away with, that's really only half the story. The other half is this whole invisible world of safety and science that's going on behind the scenes, protecting both you and the artist. So let's dive in and break down what really makes a tattoo experience not just good, but professionally safe. So let me just ask you, when you think about the risks of getting a tattoo, what's the very first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of us, it's the pain, right? Or maybe the needle itself. But what if I told you the single biggest danger is something you can't even see? Yup, that's right. I mean, don't get me wrong, a sterile needle is absolutely critical. But the real enemy we're fighting here is, well, it's a lot bigger and way, way sneakier than that. And here it is, the #1 public enemy in any tattoo studio, cross-contamination. It sounds kind of technical, but all it really means is the unwanted transfer of germs and pathogens from one thing to another. Literally every single safety rule you're about to see is designed to stop this invisible chain reaction in its tracks. So how in the world do you fight an enemy you can't see? Well, you start by building a battlefield where it just can't survive. Honestly, you should think of this first stage like a surgeon getting an operating room ready. It has to be absolutely perfect. So before a single piece of equipment comes out, this is the ritual. A thorough hand washing, a fresh pair of gloves, and then disinfecting everything with a serious hospital-grade cleaner. And check out that last step. It's not enough to just spray and wipe. They have to let that disinfectant sit for a specific amount of time, it's contact time, to actually do its job and kill everything. That's the level of detail we're talking about. Something you might never even think about is what the studio is made of. It matters a lot. See, germs can get trapped in porous things, like wood or carpet, which makes them basically impossible to fully sanitize. That's exactly why you see pros using non-porous surfaces everywhere. Tile, steel, vinyl. There's just nowhere for those nasty pathogens to hide. Okay, so the station has been chemically cleaned. Now it's time to build a fortress. Literally every single surface that might get touched during the tattoo is about to get wrapped up, creating a physical shield against contamination. This right here, this is the golden rule. It is the simple, powerful mantra that guides this entire process. If there is even a remote chance an artist's glove is going to touch it while they work, it gets wrapped. No exceptions. And when we say wrap it, we mean all of it. Just look at this. Big stuff like the chair, the armrest, it gets completely mummified and plastic wrap. This makes sure that the perfectly clean surface underneath stays that way from start to finish. But the fortress has to cover more than just the obvious stuff. Think about it. During a tattoo, the artist is constantly making tiny adjustments. They might tweak the power supply, move the lamp, or change the height of their stool. Every single one of those is a touch point, a potential breach in the wall. So they all get their own little plastic barrier. All right, the fortress is built. Now it's time to stock the arsenal. And here's the key. Pretty much everything on that artist's tray that will be used for your tattoo is meant to be used one time and one time only. Now, this is the big one, of course. Your artist must always open a brand new, sterile packaged needle right there in front of you. You should be able to see for yourself that the seal is intact and check the expiration date. That needle is for you and only you, period. And that same idea applies to the ink. You'll never see a pro dipping their needles straight into a big ink bottle. Why? Because that would contaminate the whole supply. Instead, they pour just enough ink for your session into these little single-use caps. It's simple, but absolutely brilliant. And the list of one-and-done items just keeps going. The razor to prep the skin, that little stick to get Vaseline out of the jar so they don't contaminate the whole tub. Even the way they handle paper towels is strategic. It's all designed to break any possible chain of contamination. Use it once, throw it out safely. A true professional's commitment to safety doesn't just stop when the machine turns off. The cleanup, what they call the teardown, is just as critical and just as carefully choreographed as the entire setup. Even the machine itself, the main tool, is wrapped up tight in a dedicated plastic bag, and so is its cord. And here's another important detail. Unless the shop has a medical-grade sterilizer called an autoclave for reusable metal grips, the artist has to use a fully disposable grip and tube for every single client. This slide just says it all, doesn't it? A perfect, sterile setup on one side and a responsible, safe disposal on the other. They are two halves of the same whole. You absolutely cannot have one without the other and call it a safe practice.
The teardown is a precise dance. First things first, all the sharps. The needles and razors go straight into a certified sharps container. Then all the other used supplies get rolled up and tossed. Then, and this is key, they take off their gloves and put on a fresh pair before they even start removing all the plastic barriers. And once that's done, they disinfect the entire station all over again, getting it ready for the next person.
So clearly the artist has a massive amount of responsibility here. But what about you, the client? Well, it turns out safety is a partnership, and you actually play a super important role in all of this. Think of it like a team effort. The artist's job is to build that sterile fortress. Your job is to help keep it that way. Simple things like showing up clean, not touching any of the equipment on their tray, and keeping your germy phone put away, all of that helps prevent new contaminants from entering the zone they worked so hard to create. Now that you're armed with all this knowledge, you know what to look for. And these right here are some major red flags. If the station just looks messy, if you see unwrapped bottles, if the artist isn't washing their hands or changes gloves, you have every right to ask questions or even walk away. A real professional will be proud to explain their process because they have nothing to hide. And at the end of the day, that's what it all comes down to. The best artists on the planet know that incredible art and obsessive safety are not separate things. They're totally intertwined. It's the ultimate sign of respect for you, for the craft, and for themselves. So the next time you're in that chair, you'll know that all the careful work you can't see is every bit as important as the masterpiece you'll wear forever.